the rules for naming. The first rule was that you pick the parent chain or the longest carbon chain, which includes all the functional groups. Then you number the carbon atoms in a way that the most important functional group gets the least number. I've already given you the list of importance. Carboxylic acid is the most important. The least important is halogenoalkane. Then you have, if you have a functional group which appears more than once, then you use the prefix di, tri, tetra, right? If you have functional groups variants, a variance of a functional group in a molecule, then you name them alphabetically. For example, bromo will come before chloro, which will come before iodo. And halogens are always named first. So using these rules, let's try and name these organic compounds. So let's see the first one. You got to pick the longest carbon chain, including all functional groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this is not the longest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the longest parent chain. Now, if you see which functional groups do we have here? We have carboxylic acid, we have a chloro, we have an alkene, and we have an alkyl. So that's what we have, right? A chloro, an alkyl, all of this. Now let's try and number the carbon atoms. How will you number? The most important functional group should get the least number. And I told you the most important is carboxylic acid. So this will be carbon number 1. Carbon number, longest carbon chain. This is carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is what we have. Then let's name it. Now, I told you that halogens are always written fast. So you will call this 3-chloro. Between a letter and a number, there's always a dash. So you've named 3-chloro. Then on carbon 2, you have a methyl. So that'll be 2-methyl. So 3-chloro, 2-methyl. Now it's a 5-carbon acid. So you will call this pent. Say because it's not all carbon bond. It will be pent 3-ene. This alkene on carbon number 4. There's an alkene. So pent 3-ene 1-oic acid. So you have 3-chloro, 2-methyl, pent 3-ene 1-oic acid. Clear? Let's see number 2. How will we name this? Pick the longest carbon chain. So the longest carbon chain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the longest carbon chain. Now you number in such a way that the most important functional group gets the least number. Which functional group do we have here? Aldehyde, alkyl, halogen, and an alkene. Now, between these, if you see in the list of importance, aldehyde is the most important. So that should get the least number. So we will give aldehyde carbon number 1, carbon number 2, 3, 4, 5. Once we have this, let's name it. Always put the halogens first. Now you have a bromo and a chloro. Which one will you put first? Alphabetically, you will put bromo first. So this will be 2-bromo, 3-chloro, and now you have an aldehyde. So you've written 2-bromo, 3-chloro. Then we have an alkyl on carbon number 2. So 2-methyl. Now 5-carbon. So that will be pent. Now all carbon-carbon bonds are not single. There's a double bond between carbon number 3 and 4. So pent 3-ene 1-al. Pent 3-ene 1-al makes it an aldehyde. And on pent carbon number 3, you have an alkene. So that's why you can't say pentanal. You will say pent 3-ene 1-al. Is this clear? Let's go over these compounds and let's try and name them. Now, right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbon, and this is, if you see a ketone, it has an alkyl and a halogen. Which is most important? If you see the list of priority, ketone is the most important amongst these. So this will get the least number. So you will start numbering from this side. Now, first rule is like got to name the halogen first. So this will be 4-iodo, 4-methyl. Then you have a main chain of 5, so that will be pent. All carbon-carbon bonds are single, so it will be an. And on carbon 2, you have a ketone, so pentan 2-one. Then you have again 4 carbons here, main chain. Now you have an aldehyde, you have a halogen, another halogen, and an alkyl and an alkene. Aldehyde is the most important, carbon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you got to name the halogen first. Now on carbon 2 and 4, you have chloro. So we will call this 2, 4 dichloro because you have 2 chloros. Then you have 3-methyl. So 2, 4 dichloro, 3-methyl. Now you have a 4 carbon compound, so you call this bute. On carbon 3, 4, you have an alkene, so you call this bute-3-ene-1-al. Clear? You can't say butanal because it's an alkene. Now, main chain, again, 4 carbons. You have 2 acid groups, you have 2 alkyls, you have 1 alkyl and 3 halogens. So whichever number you give, I mean, it doesn't matter because acid will be on carbon 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you number from this side also, acid will get 1 and 4. So whichever numbering you go for, in any case, the numbering will be fine, will be okay, because from both sides, acid gets the least number, and then your halogens and alkyl also get carbon number 2 and 3. So it doesn't really matter so much. So I numbered it from this side. Let's see now. First thing, you got to name the halogens first in alphabetical order. So it will be 3-bromo. Then on carbon 2 and 3, you have chloro. So 2, 3 dichloro. So you've named this, you've named this. Now you have an alkyl on carbon number 2. So you have 2-methyl. So you've named this. Now on main chain, we have 4 carbons. So that would be bute. All carbon-carbon bonds are single. So butan, 1, 4 dioic acid. Because on carbon 1 and 4, you have 2 acids. So you will call it dioic acid. Clear? Then we have number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons. Now it has 2 aldehydes, alkyl, halogen, halogen, and an alkyl. Aldehyde gets the least number. So you number from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's see. So first thing, you got to name the halogen first, alphabetical order. So 3-chloro. Then you have 2-iodo. Then you have 2-methyl. You named this and this. Now main chain is how many carbons? 4. So that will be bute. All carbon-carbon bonds are single. So butane, 1, 4. You have 2 aldehydes, dial. So butane, 1, 4 dial. That will be the aldehyde. Now main chain right here has 5 carbons. Alcohol is the most important functional group here, so it should get the least number. So if you number from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you number from this side, it will still be 3, 4, and 5. So alcohol either way gets 1, 3, 5. So you look at the second most important functional group, that's alkene. So that should get the least number. So you should go for this numbering. Yeah, because alcohol either way was getting 1, 3, and 5. So this numbering is fine, where the alkene also gets the least number. Now, first thing, gotta name the halogen. So it will be 4-chloro. Then we have alcohol. We have 3 alcohols. So 5 carbon is the main chain. So that will be pent. Now you can't say pentan because the carbon-carbon bonds are double right here. On carbon number 2, you have an alkene. So pent-2-ene. And then on carbon 1, 3, and 5. So you will say 1, 3, 5. Triol, because it is 3 alcohols, is why we call it a triol. Is this clear? So let's try and name this. Main chain is 5 carbons. carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be 5 chloro, 4 methyl. And then on carbon number 3, you have an alkene. So this will be pent 3-ene 1, 2 diol. Clear? Let's name this. What would be the name?
Methyl butanoate.
Methyl, because you have one. I told you everything after the C single bond O comes from the alcohol and is written first. So this would be methyl. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons from acid. So this will be methyl butanoate. 4 carbons of the acid, 1 carbon of the alcohol. So we have the main chain right here is 3 carbons. Yes, and we have a nitrile right here on carbon number 1, 2, 3. Now this would be 3 bromo because you always write the halogens first, then 2 chloro. Then you have 2 methyl, and it would be propane nitrile, or you can say propane 1 nitrile. That is absolutely correct. So this will be called what? This would be called 2 bromo 3 chloro butene 1 oic acid. Let's see number 12. So number 12. Now you have a main chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. This is amine. That is the most important functional group. Therefore, this carbon gets the least number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On carbon number 3, we have a bromo. So 3 bromo. Then you have 2 methyl. The rule is you always name the halogen first. 3 bromo, 2 methyl. Now this will be pent because main chain has 5 carbons. So it will be pent-2-ene. Between 2 and 3, there's a double bond. You pick the smaller number. So pent-2-ene 1 amine. Clear? So pent-2-ene. So this would be 3 bromo, 2 methyl. Main chain has 5 carbons. So pent-2-ene 1 amine. Yes? Now let's see the exception 13, 14, and 15. What are the exceptions here? You pick the longest chain. This is the longest chain, which is the most important functional group. It will be carboxylic acid. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now on carbon 3, you have a bromo. So we call this 3 bromo. Then you have alcohol and acid. But the most important functional group is acid. So the main compound is acid. So alcohol now is a side chain. Whenever alcohol is a side chain, you see it's not a main compound now because the most important is acid. So whenever alcohol is a side chain, we call it hydroxy. So this will be 3 bromo, 2 hydroxy. You have but, 3-ene, 1 oic acid. So whenever alcohol is the main compound, that means if it is the most important, we call it all like alcohol, right? But if it is not the most important, if it is a side chain, we call it what? Hydroxy. Let's see the example here. So again, acid is the most important. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. On carbon 3, you have 2 alcohols. So you will call it 3, 3 dihydroxy. And main chain is 4 carbons. So this will be butane 1 oic acid or butanoic acid. Then we have this on carbon number 1 and 4, we have the acid. So either way you number, it will be on 1 and 4. So you go for the second most important, which is alcohol here. So that should get the least number. So we will go with this side of numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if you number from this side, then alcohol will come on carbon number. Acid either way is coming on 1 and 4. So you go for the second most important alcohol with the least number. Now on carbon 3, you have a halogen. So 3 bromo, 3 methyl, On carbon 2, you have what? Hydroxy. So 2-hydroxy. Main chain is 4 carbons, so you will call it bute. On carbon number 1 and 4, because carbon-carbon bonds are single, butane. 1, 4, dioic acid. So this right here is the name for this organic compound.